Another protest by teachers around the state seeking better pay, demanding a 20% pay hike and threatening a possible walkout if they don't get it, or at least make progress towards it. While Governor Doug Ducey suggests many of them are playing politics.
What I've heard from teachers is that they don't want to walk out. They want to solve this problem. Now, I'll tell you, the people that are playing politics, they want to walk out.
Ducey insisting he's working with the legislature to get $400 million additional dollars for school funding. Walk-ins around the state this morning after the Fed seized documents from President Trump's personal attorney's office and home this week. Some on Capitol Hill are concerned that President Trump is getting set to fire the special counsel. Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego.
Congress, at a minimum, should make sure the president doesn't interfere, that we continue at least to message those that are willing to message that we want Special Prosecutor Mueller to stay in his spot.
Republican Senator Jeff Flake doesn't want Mueller fired, but doesn't think congressional action to prevent it is constitutional. Suns over the Mavericks in their final game. Jeff Scott, Arizona News.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center, as we head into the evening under clear skies, breezy, overnight low 65. Thursday, a red flag warning from noon to 9 p.m. Patchy blowing dust after 2 p.m. Sunny and windy with a high near 83, winds gusting to 40 miles an hour. I'm Scott Allen Fortney from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently in downtown Phoenix, it's 98 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks. Here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Hello, is anyone there? This is Will Robinson of the 24th Colonist Group, calling any survivors. You copy? I'm making a record of this because it seems I'm the first human to discover evidence of an alien intelligence.
Danger, Will Robinson.
An adventure you have to see to believe. Watch Lost in Space. All episodes April 13th, only on Netflix.
To prevent muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This fast-acting foam is clinically proven to relieve leg and foot cramps. Get TheraWorks Relief today at select Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid pharmacies or TheraWorksRelief.com. Ask your pharmacist for TheraWorks Relief.
Introducing the next revolution from Sam Adams, Sam 76. It took over 60 trials and 13,000 hours to perfect this refreshing union of lager and ale. Sam 76. Fill your glass. Boston Beer Company, Boston, Massachusetts. Savor the flavor responsibly.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
Live from the Midtown studios of KFNX, it's time for the Wellness Roundtable radio show, sponsored by Atrix.com. Now, here's your hosts, Dr. Spear and Dr. White.
Hello and welcome to the Wellness Roundtable radio show. I want to say hi to everybody on Facebook Live and everybody out there who's listening to us. We have a really, really interesting show. We're going to cover a lot of material today. I also wanted to say hi to my co-host, Scott Weiss, who is not going to be joining us for the show as he had a prior engagement. Dr. Weiss, I hope you're listening in, and let's get started. So today we're going to be talking about ketogenic diets. I know that sounds kind of like a big scientific term. However, the term has been around for quite a while, and our guests are experts in that area. We're going to have two naturopathic physicians who have their practice here in Arizona, a concierge medicine practice called iWellness Partners, and you can reach them at iwellnesspartners.com. And we're going to have a food science and exercise physiology specialist from Ireland by the name of Gerald Byrne, who created a supplement specifically for those individuals who are interested in practicing a ketogenic diet. So we're going to learn a little bit about what ketosis is, what ketogenic diets are, what the supplements are, and some tips and guides and maybe some pros and cons of that. And I also wanted to kind of let our listeners know that we'll try to, be extremely kind of comprehensive about the material. And as always, we will be informative. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce our guests. And so we have two naturopathic physicians, Dr. Forrest Beck and Dr. Samer Riaz, from iWellness Partners here in Arizona. And as I said before, they practice concierge medicine. They do a lot of different types of medicine, and they offer a lot of different kinds of services, including sexual dysfunction services, pain management services, regular intern-style services or internship services. And you can see them at any time, and there will be a commercial actually at the break which will give you all of the information about their business. But I did want to welcome them to the show, as they are experts in endocrinology and also in ketogenic diets, ketogenic physiology. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, David.
Thanks so much for having us.
You're very, very welcome. And our other guest, let me see, is Gerald Byrne. He's calling all the way from Ireland. And as I mentioned before, he created a supplement for people who are utilizing a ketogenic diet. And we're going to be talking to him specifically about his supplement and also the findings that he has seen with people who are using the supplement. So welcome to the show, Gerald.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I want to start with Dr. Beck and Dr. Riaz, and I want you to, if you can, sort of succinctly give our listeners an idea of what a ketogenic diet is. And just from my standpoint, from kind of a physiologic standpoint and doing some research, I always thought that a ketogenic diet was a diet that brought you into something called ketosis, where you utilize these ketone bodies and it's fat burning. And the first thing I thought of was the Atkins diet. But in doing some of the research, it seems like there are some distinct differences between an Atkins diet and a ketogenic diet. So what is ketosis?
So, David, our body prefers to break down carbs in general. When you reduce the carb intake in a ketogenic diet, you try to limit it to under 20 grams of carbs, it switches its fuel source to using fats as and breaks fats down, and that helps with a number of different conditions. But as you start breaking down fat, one of the result of that is weight loss and decreased cholesterol and things like that. Difference between that, you go into a dietary ketosis, but diabetic ketoacidosis is significantly higher number of ketones that leads to a change in your blood pH, and then that damages your kidney and your brain function.
Okay, so if we reduce the carbohydrates extremely or severely, then we could end up in what would be ketoacidosis.
Yes.
Okay. And we would do, and a diabetic might experience that because you want to kind of keep those blood sugars at an even level. So by taking in less carbohydrates, we think that maybe the levels of blood sugar would drop. However, by really reducing it severely, then we basically change the environment in the blood to an acidotic type of environment.
So the majority of complications that occur with the diabetic patients are because of the fluctuation of the blood glucose.
Uh-huh.
And how that leads to the diabetic ketoacidosis part of it too, whereas by using your fuel source as the fatty acids, you're not getting that fluctuation you get from carb intake. And Dr. Beck can elaborate more on that as well.
Okay.
Well, I was just going to chime in and say another difference with Atkins is a lot of times it's a higher fat diet, but also very high protein.
Mm-hmm.
And that excess protein, if we take up too much protein in the body, it can get converted into sugar. And when it gets converted into sugar, it can throw somebody out of ketosis. So if the goal is to get into a ketotic state and have kind of certain amount of ketones, but not excessive amounts of ketones, then the Atkins diet can kind of undo that. They're very different animals, and I think a lot of people, kind of use that or maybe a paleo diet and kind of say, well, I'm basically doing a ketogenic diet, and they're just very different types of diets.
Right, and in doing some of the research, it seems like the Atkins diet, when you start it, is very much a ketogenic diet. But as you introduce carbohydrates into that diet, which you do, and similar to the what was it called? The South, if you remember, in the 90s.
South Beach.
Yeah, the South Beach diet was very, very similar to that, right? Where you were introducing those carbohydrates, so you weren't burning as many ketone bodies in that regard. And also with the Atkins diet, there was almost license to eat as much as you wanted, right? That, you know, as far as the amount of protein and the amount of fat that you wanted. And lipid profiles, cholesterol levels started to increase, and there was some risk there.
Correct.
So Gerald, let me ask you, so, you know, coming from a food science background and also an exercise science background, you created a supplement for people who are interested in eating ketogenically, right? In kind of utilizing ketone bodies, whether it be to burn fat or to achieve other benefits. What was your impetus to create the supplement?
Yeah, the concept arose from looking at a fuel source within the body that was sustainable and that had health implications. So originally it was from endurance background.
Okay.
The concept of, say, for example, and everybody will be aware of that term, carb loading.
Yes.
Which happens 2 to 3 days prior to a running event or an event, a cycling or an endurance event. It took its toll in practice from nutritional dietary guidelines, from sports dietary guidelines, and it had massive implications on GI distress and how you actually felt. So I sitting in biochemistry, looking at the TCA cycle and the Krebs cycle, it became apparent that there's access to over 20 times the maximum glycogen storage available as free fatty acids, and they actually turn into a fuel source that's there since since ancestral times, since we actually evolved, as a key fuel source that was there as a protective mechanism to prevent the brain from shutting down completely, and so on and so forth. So I got interested in a metabolite that has that capability.
Excellent. All right. So listen, we're going to continue this conversation when we get back. I want to hear a little bit more about the supplement. I want to hear about some of the benefits that you've seen in the people who have taken it. Again, we're talking about ketogenic diets on the Wellness Roundtable radio show, and we'll be right back.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. Wellnessroundtable.com.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Do you want to change the way you eat? How about trying a keto diet? Ever thought about a ketogenic lifestyle and how it brings about long-term health? Go Keto is a product that can do just that. Go Keto is the brainchild of Gerald Byrne, an international specialist in food science and metabolic physiology. Go Keto can reduce cravings and preserve muscle and glycogen stores. And most importantly, it has a natural taste, no sugar, no carbs, and no caffeine. Go Keto is clean fuel for body and mind. Visit GB Nutrisize and use the promo code WellGoKeto20 to receive 20% off your first order. Get your Go Keto today and change your life for the better.
Are you tired of spending valuable time with doctors who don't give you the attention you deserve? Even worse, they don't do a comprehensive investigation into the symptoms you do have. Finally, there are doctors that can help you and your family regain and maintain a youthful vitality using the tools of integrative medicine. Doctors Beck and Riaz bring over 30 years of experience to their practice, and they're available when you are. Their services include executive weight loss programs, sexual enhancement programs, pain management, and more. Visit Doctors Beck and Riaz at wellnesspartners.com or call 480-508-7050 and make your appointment today. They'll earn your trust through a thorough workup with regular communication and get you feeling better than you have in years. The doctor is in.
Welcome to the Orphan Diaries. Here's the founder of Food for Orphans, Gary Van Dyke.
Ken doesn't know how old he is. He guesses at around 7. His whole life has been centered on finding food. You see, he lives at a dump and he's never been anywhere else. You can find Ken walking in a decaying landfill of rotting garbage, plastic bags, and shards of broken glass. To many, Ken and children like him are invisible. But they're not, are they?
For more information, visit www.foodfororphans.org.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today with fashion, function, and quality at the forefront. Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
We're back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show. I'm Dr. David Spearer, and shout out to my co-host, Dr. Scott Weiss, who hopefully is listening from the East Coast. And we're talking about ketogenic diets with experts Gerald Byrne and Dr. Beck and Dr. Riaz, two naturopathic physicians. And Gerald, we were just talking about the impetus to create the supplement Go Keto. And you were talking about the fact that it kind of stemmed from an endurance background, and you were finding that that actually, you know, this carbo loading idea was somewhat detrimental to the performance. And what specifically did you see were the benefits of this kind of ketogenic diet?
Just one sec. As regards to performance, I think I have to say that on performance day, on race day, carbohydrates are the king as regards that day. If you can manage to get the quantity and the type right, as regards the performance day in its own right, it's a small part of the training regime. And that's when some of the body changes happen, composition, strength gains, endurance gains, metabolic health, efficiency, and so on and so forth takes place in a huge amount of time in comparison to the actual small amount of time on the race day. So when I started looking, I went, surely you cannot continue to try and train effectively and then condition your body using the same regimes as you would on race day. Mm-hmm. So that's what really caught my eye as regards there has to be a superior method possibly to training and to conditioning, and also that led to me discovering that there is potential health and long-term gains to be had for not just people involved in endurance, but just for regular recreational, but also for just regular people who possibly may not be utilizing the best, I suppose, macronutrient partitioning as regards what they use as a dietary pattern. Whether you call it Atkins, whether you call it ketogenic, regardless of what you call it, I think it should have a real term of a healthy approach, eating healthily, and that really took me back to looking at some of the older regimes of, Mediterranean diets, to what they took, and then going back even further to, and we all have heard of the paleo approach and so on and so forth.
Right.
But somewhere in between, I think we've lost track of where the best approach to dietary fueling, and that comes along with the advances of evolution and a modern, fast-paced environment.
Sure.
So,
no, I agree with you, but you saw sort of an application to life, not necessarily just for the athlete, not for, the person interested in endurance or sprinting or whatever it is, but you saw something that would be applicable to a person's lifestyle. So I'm curious, Dr. Beck and Dr. Riaz, do you see patients who come in who have either been on a ketogenic diet, who ask about a ketogenic diet? Is it something that you see is common in your practice?
Yeah, more and more, especially in the last couple of years, have been asking about it, and I've been familiar with it for a much longer period of time than that. I'm using it in epileptic kids, but these patients have maybe tried it, and they haven't done it very successfully, and we can get into kind of why that is and later on. Or they've done it well, but they've just had a hard time. Like they need help in making it a viable, longer-term solution, or maybe knowing for how long of a period to stick with it, and then have a pause or a break from it as well, depending on what their goals are.
Okay.
But a lot of executives, because it does help with brain function and performance, they really like the idea of the cognitive improvements that you get with it.
So let me ask you. So a ketogenic diet, and this is kind of a question to all three of you, is that you are primarily increasing the level of protein, right, at about, and maybe I'm wrong with these numbers, at about 65% in terms of macronutrients, fat around 30, and then carbs around 5, right? So the carbs are quite low. And I think, Dr. Riaz, you also mentioned that you're down probably under 25 grams, which is, it's a very, it's kind of a reduced level of carbohydrate. So my question is then, is it more a cyclical type of dietary behavior where you go on it for 6 weeks, then you kind of come off it, then you go back on it? Or is it something that really could be adapted to a lifestyle where this is the way you eat? What do you guys think?
I can come in. There is a great there's a great body of evidence starting to come on stream as regards even clinical trials. The whole reason, it's not the whole reason. It's one of the aspects of why I said that this product has a place, is to enhance metabolic flexibility.
Okay.
And for those people who really do need help, and look, when it comes to diet, everyone is different, and everybody has different taste buds and different choices, different social factors, cultural factors. So it's so big that to help with metabolic efficiency and body composition, and to get them into as far away from metabolic syndrome or any inflammation, is a positive. And that's why I said that a product like this is something that they can actually take cheat days, they can have within the week-long 7-day period even, have a larger time span in a more positive health environment as regards what's happening at cellular level.
Okay.
And Dr. Spear, one point of clarification too. You mentioned the ratios.
Hold on. Go ahead, Dr. Beck.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Dr.
I was just going to say, a point of clarification. You mentioned the ratios of like 5% carbs and 65, I think, protein, and it's actually flipped. It's 65% fat roughly, and then 25% protein and 5% carbs.
So when you say fat, you're talking, are you talking any kind of fat? Are you talking monounsaturated fats mostly? Is there a distinction between the types of fats that should be ingested on this type of diet?
Well, we still really promote, what we consider to be healthy fats. So as an example, if we're using animal fats or a mix, ideally, of animal fats, whether that's fish or beef or lamb or eggs,
right,
etc., we're still wanting those to be as healthy as possible. So, whether they're free range or grass fed and all of that, that's still hopefully produces a superior quality fat. So it could be any number of those things depending on the patient's requirements and preferences. And our job is to kind of figure out what that mix looks like, and adding avocados in and olive oil and other types of fat.
Do you, when you're talking to a patient who is interested in something like this, do you recommend that they do this through Whole Foods? Is this something that they need a supplement for? How does that play out?
So that depends on what their needs are. our patient demographic, there are men and women, and those who will be very good at adding the fats into their diet, and then those with metabolic syndrome or diabetic patients that needs to be on it for a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are women who, and Dr. Beck can talk a bit more about it as well, but women who have a different requirement for carb intake versus men.
Mm-hmm.
Men can go for a longer period of time without, it's actually beneficial for their hormones to have less carbs in their diet, and women need a bit of a higher amount for their hormone function. So there's that. And then we have sometimes patients who want a cheat day. They don't want to stick to a certain diet for 6 weeks, and that's where a supplement comes in that will help them get into ketosis and stay in ketosis.
Okay. And I really kind of, that resonates with me, that idea of a cheat day, right? That kind of idea of a relaxing day where you have to kind of take a break from, let's say, if you want to call it the dietary restrictions of the eating pattern, but you are being very, very structured 6 days a week, and then you can take a day where you kind of just relax. I think there's a lot of different sort of eating plans that include something like that, or even a cheat meal or something like that to kind of, bring you back to, I guess, what you were doing before that wasn't so structured. So I think that's a great point. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about how these ketogenic diets affect males versus females and what to look out for. Again, we're talking ketogenic diets with experts and naturopathic physicians, and we'll be right back after these words.
Fair and balanced. Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. Arizona's only independent voice. Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
President Trump attacked Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein on Twitter in complaining about what he called the fake and corrupt Russia investigation. California Democrat Congressman Adam Schiff says it would be a mistake for the president to fire Rosenstein or special counsel Mueller.
If the president goes forward with either one of these firings, he is only making the case against himself for obstruction of justice. But it deeply worries me because it would throw this country into complete crisis.
A woman testified that Missouri Governor Eric Greitens slapped, shoved, and grabbed her several times during an extramarital affair. The testimony from the former hairdresser was released today by a special legislative committee investigating allegations against the Republican governor. Notes from their March meeting show Federal Reserve officials under a new chairman decided to stick with a gradual approach to rate hikes, but officials also discussed the possibility that the future course of rate hikes could accelerate. I'm Barbara Cusack.
It's time for your 1100 KFNX traffic report, brought to you by Unbound.org. Take a look out to Phoenix. We have an accident at the I-10 eastbound at 75th Ave, as well as Cave Creek Road at Sharon Drive. And in Scottsdale, be on the lookout for a collision at Scottsdale Road north of Goldwater Boulevard. We all got to where we are through hard work and a little help. Open a world of opportunity for a child or elder dreaming of a better tomorrow at Unbound.org.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center, as we head into the evening under clear skies, breezy, overnight low 65. Thursday, a red flag warning from noon to 9 p.m. Patchy blowing dust after 2 p.m. Sunny and windy with a high near 83, winds gusting to 40 miles an hour. I'm Scott Allen Fortney from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 95 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks. Here on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
Enjoy a fun evening concert of jazz, folk, and alternative music to benefit St. Joseph the Worker. The annual Feeney Winthrop Benefit Concert on Saturday, April 21st at Xavier Prep supports St. Joseph the Worker's job development program for the disadvantaged and the homeless. Reserve concert tickets online for a suggested $15 donation. Or help St. Joseph the Worker by donating silent auction items by April 13th. Visit sjwjobs.org. Again, sjwjobs.org.
Hey Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
Are you tired of spending valuable time with doctors who don't give you the attention you deserve? Even worse, they don't do a comprehensive investigation into the symptoms you do have. Finally, there are doctors that can help you and your family regain and maintain a youthful vitality using the tools of integrative medicine. Doctors Beck and Riaz bring over 30 years of experience to their practice, and they're available when you are. Their services include executive weight loss programs, sexual enhancement programs, pain management, and more. Visit Doctors Beck and Riaz at iWellnessPartners.com or call 480-508-7050 and make your appointment today. They'll earn your trust through a thorough workup with regular communication and get you feeling better than you have in years. The doctor is in.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Do you want to change the way you eat? How about trying a keto diet? Ever thought about a ketogenic lifestyle and how it brings about long-term health? Go Keto is a product that can do just that. Go Keto is the brainchild of Gerald Byrne, an international specialist in food science and metabolic physiology. Go Keto can reduce cravings and preserve muscle and glycogen stores. And most importantly, it has a natural taste, no sugar, no carbs, and no caffeine. Go Keto is clean fuel for body and mind. Visit GB Nutrisize and use the promo code WellGoKeto20 to receive 20% off your first order. Get your Go Keto today and change your life for the better.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. Wellnessroundtable.com.
We're back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show, and we're talking ketogenic diets and ketogenic eating with Gerald Byrne, food science specialist, and Dr. Forrest Beck and Dr. Samer Riaz, naturopathic physicians here in Phoenix. And Dr. Beck and Dr. Riaz, we were talking about kind of when we just broke last time, we were talking about kind of hormone health as it relates to ketogenic diets, and I'm sure the listeners are really curious as to how do these types of diets or eating patterns or eating plans affect men versus women?
Sure, I can talk about that. So in men, they typically do a number of positive things. One, they improve growth hormone. They improve free and total testosterone. And these things, because they're hormones, they have really global or comprehensive effects in the body, leading to an increase in energy, an increase in cognitive function, heart health. The list goes on, literally. So while it's not a panacea, those are definite improvements, because a lot of men, as they age, those hormones are the ones going down and declining. And in women, that we don't see as robust of an increase in those hormones, but we see a lot of decrease in inflammation and just better energy. It's like when they wake up in the morning, they're just on because of the improvement and decrease in inflammation, improvement in thyroid function many times. They just wake up with better energy, and it's more consistent throughout the day, as opposed to these ebbs and flows that can come along with a kind of normal carb diet.
Okay. And also, I mean, you know, in kind of discussing this way of eating, this method of eating, it would seem logical that it doesn't include the fast food. It doesn't include the chips. It doesn't include any of the sort of junk food. So you're almost like, you know, even though you're changing the ratios, as you mentioned before, right, the higher levels of good fats and a fairly high amount of protein and lower on the carbohydrates, but you're still able to, and correct me if I'm wrong, able to eat vegetables and able to eat foods that have high vitamin content, high nutrient density, as opposed to eating junk food. So it's almost like it's a whole food kind of diet, but it changes the ratios just a little bit so that your body's utilizing more ketones than it is using carbohydrate. Is that sort of correct?
Yes. Most of the vegetables, they aren't very high in carbs, except if you go into potatoes and that family. So you're still able to eat vegetables, and a lot of what happens when our patients go on a ketogenic diet is eventually they go to eating just healthier.
Right.
They will add in some carbs back into their diet, but overall they will keep those fast food, chips, ice creams, and things like that out of their diet for most periods of time. And going back to where it's more of a lifestyle down the road as well, because if you look at male hormones, their testosterone, if you have more carbs in your diet, can get converted into estrogen, which then leads to the central belly fat and other issues. So for a healthier aging process, staying on a more ketogenic diet is better for them as well.
That's great. That's really great information. We are talking ketogenic diets and ketogenic eating. If you want to call in and join in on the discussion, give us a call at 602-277-5369 or 1-866-536-1100. So, Gerald, let me ask you this. So you create this supplement and you're using it with males, you're using it with females. What do you sort of recommend in terms of dosage? How do you take it? How often do you take it? What are the specifics?
Yeah, to start, it's simple. A half a scoop. It's a 14-gram serving, so you're getting a combination of your electrolytes, magnesium, sodium, calciums. They're part of the compounds, and you can start have one between meals, or you can have it first thing if you're doing a fasted, say exercise or an early morning walk or jog. And if you're not doing exercise, you can just have it between meals. I usually recommend once to twice a day for 50% of the week, and then see how your body, and if you were looking after the dietary regime, that you've actually really spelled out very well, actually, that nutrient-dense, wholesome, good foods that becomes part of your habit. And I think that's a key thing, that now all of a sudden you're changing your patterns. And look, eating well actually becomes a good habit, and it tastes great. It tastes really good. So top quality veg, fats, meats, nuts, seeds, and so on. So great. Combine that with those days that if you want that extra boost, if you're doing some exercise, that you can actually top up your ketogenic levels. So within 15 minutes, I've measured with across the board with different types of people. Within 15 minutes, the ketones start rising, and within the 30-minute mark, you're into nutritional ketosis above 0.5 millimole. And depending on the individual, depending on their kind of regime prior, you can see anything up to 1.5 millimolar. With a single full serving of Go Keto, that lasts up to 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So that's really the specifics of the supplement and how it affects the body. As I said, it is individual, though. It's sometimes somebody who's very advanced with a dietary regime and so on and so forth, they can really get the benefits from taking the supplement, whereas somebody who is only new to it, it takes a little bit longer.
Okay.
But you most definitely start feeling the difference. Not like a caffeine kick, but somehow because it has a knock-on with hormonally, you're talking about ghrelin hormone really, which is and it affects the adipose tissue, it affects your free fatty acid disposal. So leptin, ghrelin are the main ones. Ghrelin then will be suppressed, which means that you don't get those 3 p.m. slumps. You don't get that hunger, that roller coaster hunger that you can get from high sugar intake.
Right. No, that makes sense. And so what we've heard about throughout the show is all these sort of positive effects of a ketogenic diet. It sounds like it's amazing. It sounds like, why wouldn't everybody do it? It's impossible to think that there isn't something that's negative. And not to be a pessimist, but what are the drawbacks to something like this?
Well, one in particular is just a lot of people have a difficult time eating that much fat. It really is a lifestyle change. If they're not going to be using exogenous ketones like the Go Keto product, they do have to change their diet, and many people just have a difficult time, ramping up their fat intake. So that could be one. But it isn't for everybody. People have certain health conditions. There are certain liver diseases and kidney diseases that are contraindications, and some heart conditions that are contraindications to even starting this diet to begin with. But there is a long list of benefits, and whether that's for people that have cancer or people that just want to improve how they feel because of the effect it has on improving insulin sensitivity and weight loss and all this stuff, and decreasing inflammation. There are a number of positive effects as well. So it's not a panacea. It's not for everyone, but it certainly, like many things, has its role.
Yeah, I think that's great information because, like everything out there, it's not for everybody, right? Certain people can experience the benefits, and then for others, there may be some drawbacks or some sort of negative consequences. And it's great that you pointed out that there are some chronic diseases and some conditions that are contraindicated when it comes to a ketogenic diet. I think that's really, really important. And also, I think it's really important to say that you should consult a physician, consult your doctor before you're doing something like this. Even though the benefits are many, it's not for everybody out there. So we're talking ketogenic diets with food science experts Gerald Byrne and naturopathic physicians Dr. Beck and Dr. Riaz, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Do you want to change the way you eat? How about trying a keto diet? Ever thought about a ketogenic lifestyle and how it brings about long-term health? Go Keto is a product that can do just that. Go Keto is the brainchild of Gerald Byrne, an international specialist in food science and metabolic physiology. Go Keto can reduce cravings and preserve muscle and glycogen stores. And most importantly, it has a natural taste, no sugar, no carbs, and no caffeine. Go Keto is clean fuel for body and mind. Visit GB Nutrisize and use the promo code WellGoKeto20 to receive 20% off your first order. Get your Go Keto today and change your life for the better.
The Alzheimer's Association Desert Southwest Chapter is hosting the 27th Annual Education Conference. The event will be held April 20th at the Scottsdale Bible Church, 7601 East Shea Boulevard in Scottsdale. Conference attendance is limited, so be sure to register with payment early to secure your space. For more information, please call 602-528-0545, 602-528-0545. Or to register online, visit alz.org. That's alz.org.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today with fashion, function, and quality at the forefront. Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to aetrex.com. That's atrix.com.
Are you tired of spending valuable time with doctors who don't give you the attention you deserve? Even worse, they don't do a comprehensive investigation into the symptoms you do have. Finally, there are doctors that can help you and your family regain and maintain a youthful vitality using the tools of integrative medicine. Doctors Beck and Riaz bring over 30 years of experience to their practice, and they're available when you are. Their services include executive weight loss programs, sexual enhancement programs, pain management, and more. Visit Drs. Beck and Riaz at iWellnessPartners.com or call 480-508-7050 and make your appointment today. They'll earn your trust through a thorough workup with regular communication and get you feeling better than you have in years. The doctor is in.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. Wellnessroundtable.com.
We're back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show, and we're talking ketogenic diets and ketogenic eating with food science expert Gerald Byrne, all the way from Ireland, and two naturopathic physicians, Dr. Forrest Beck and Dr. Samer Riaz. And, this has been a really informative show, I'm sure, for our listeners who have probably heard of ketogenesis or ketogenic diets, but didn't really know the background. So let me ask you, Dr. Beck and Dr. Riaz, what are some of the myths that have been perpetuated about ketogenic diets? And, let's kind of break those myths right now.
So some of the myths, it elevates your cholesterol levels, even though there's tons and tons of research showing how patients were on a ketogenic diet that actually decreased their lipid level, increasing HDL, which you want, and significantly decreasing the triglycerides, which as soon as they switched from that, triglycerides went back up.
Okay.
So that's one. There's another one for diabetic patients that they should not be doing a ketogenic diet. They should be on the high carb, which another research shows that without calorie restriction and just putting them on a ketogenic diet, they were able to get off for type 2 diabetes off of their medications by staying on that diet. Whereas for the high carb, they have to do calorie restrictions for them as well.
Okay.
So that's another. Ketogenic diet can cause damage to your kidneys. That's where they're trying to correlate that with the diabetic ketoacidosis or the state of ketoacidosis, where you have significantly high levels of ketones in your body.
Right. Okay. So, and those, those are real conditions that happen. And as we said kind of at the break, is that you really have to consult your physician, your doctor, before you're doing something like this. And that's all really great information. Now, let me ask you, Gerald, from a performance standpoint, what do you see in terms of fatigue, in terms of people on a ketogenic diet or using your supplement? How does it affect fatigue?
Well, initially, before they would have taken, I would have had suggested to numerous people to cut back on carbohydrates for fasted training sessions, for reduced carbohydrate training sessions, and just fueling for, I suppose that term, for the work required that they were actually going to partake, let it be whatever training session it was, or an event, obviously and I did mention that on race day or for that event, you use as much of carbohydrate and sugar to get you to the finish line in as fast a time as possible. That's the nature of performance. But as I said, the one thing I found was that people completely misunderstood the fact that you can actually fuel the body and do a training session even in a fasted state. There's a lot of people out there think that you have to eat every 15, 20 minutes and so on and so forth. And that's a myth. It's one of those myths, I think. That ties into what we mentioned about 20 times more fuel on board in triglycerides-free fatty acids stored in tissue that you have. Even for a lean person, they have a 8% body fat. If you do the math, there's many days of fuel. It's about the metabolic efficiency for the body to be in a state to be able to tap into that.
Yes,
and
yes.
generally speaking, if you're constantly in a state of high insulin, high sugar response, those pathways just generally, those enzymes related to those pathways don't get expressed, are not there. They take some time to get to develop, and that takes a little bit of time to adapt to that, which people give up on very quickly. That's
Right.
one thing I found.
Right, and I just wanted to say we're talking ketogenic diets and ketogenic eating. If you want to call in, we're at 602-277-5369 or toll free at 1-866-536-1100. If you saw me on Facebook Live, I smiled when you said that, Gerald, when you talked about free fatty acid storage, because when I used to teach, I would actually do the math. So I would be on the board and doing the equation and showing, even in the leanest marathoner, there's still 60,000 calories of fat to burn. So, there's a lot of fat there. But I guess also, though, it could be argued that the intensity of the exercise really dictates what we use as a fuel, right? So if we are doing something moderate or light intensity, then yes, we are going to dip into free fatty acid stores. But if we're doing something high intensity, we have to be using then carbohydrates primarily for energy, correct?
Yes, and that's another thing even in the event of competition, I've found that by using Go Keto, you can actually use the ketones even by having a breakfast, say, or a pre-race meal 3 hours prior, and then that 40 minutes prior to the event using Go Keto, you're saving the glycogen because now you're starting to use the Go Keto as a fuel source, and you're saving your glycogen for later, which can be used to get you to the finish line in a better state.
Right. So you're sparing it. Right.
Yeah, you're sparing it. And
right.
I've seen that. I've actually seen that, both with numerous individuals now. It's amazing, and it has shown that you definitely get a far better response from your fueling regime.
Okay. So let's kind of switch gears a second, just from sort of the endurance and performance angle of things, and talk a little bit more about older individuals in that demographic and how ketogenic diets might be applied. And specifically what I want to know is, and I know Dr. Beck and Dr. Riaz, you talked about hormones, and Dr. Riaz, you talked about how this could be a really excellent thing for men, right, in terms of raising levels of testosterone, and Dr. Beck mentioned growth hormone. Is there, and we talked a little bit about the negative consequences, but specifically for females, are there negative consequences that they don't see in males?
Yeah, there are negative. Well, I shouldn't say there are negative consequences, but women, because they tend to undereat in general, and they tend to, especially women that are struggling with weight loss as they age and a decline in hormones, they do two things that are really key. They undereat, thinking that a reduction in calories is going to, help them decrease weight, and then they exercise too much. And when you do both of those, and you try to do a ketogenic diet, it really zaps the hormones, and women are really, really susceptible to that, even more so. And there's a whole stress component that plays a role too. So I think that's what we see in women a lot. They just need a lot more counseling on, both sexes need a lot of counseling just on making sure they get their caloric intake up enough to be able to maintain ketosis.
So when you say stress, do you mean mental stress? Do you mean physical stress? What kind of stress is related to sort of these, let's call them negative consequences of this type of eating pattern?
Well, both. I mean, if people are already coming in stressed, which most people, have some form of stress, whether it's work stress or family stress, those are additions to a change or an alteration in how they're eating. And if they don't bring the ketogenic diet on board correctly, their body's going to perceive that as another stress. I'm eating in a different way, and it's taking a toll. So all of those play a role, and it just makes it all the more important that they do it in the correct way, and they measure in the beginning so they know that they really are reaching ketosis.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. And you're right. If they don't start it the correct way, they introduce it to the body as a shocker. It could just be an additional stress that they can add to the other stresses that they're already experiencing. So that's a really good point. Well, listen, it's amazing, but our time is kind of up, and I wanted to thank all three of you for just a great show. It was really informative. I learned a ton. I'm sure the listeners did as well. I'd love to have you back on the show if you would be willing. Again, Gerald Byrne, who is the creator of Go Keto, and please visit him at gbnutrisize.com. And you can buy his product Go Keto, and by using the Well Go Keto 20 promo code, you can get 20% off your first order. You can also visit Dr. Beck and Dr. Riaz at iwellnesspartners.com, two naturopathic physicians who really know their stuff here in Arizona, and we'd love to have you back on the show. And one other thing I wanted to mention is that on wellnessroundtable.com on April 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we do have a lecture on chronic stress by Dr. Evelyn Hecht. So join us next Wednesday on the Wellness Roundtable radio show. And we're always informative, we're always comprehensive, and we always cover a lot of material. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Wellness Roundtable radio show right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX. Tune in next week for more from the experts on the Wellness Roundtable radio show.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
Veterans face treacherous situations filled with peril while serving our country. Many veterans come home physically injured, suffering with PTSD, have traumatic brain injuries, or other ailments. For over 45 years, Help Heal Veterans has provided therapeutic art kits to these critically injured veterans at no charge to them. Help us heal vets. To volunteer or learn more, visit healvets.org. Help a veteran. Visit healvets.org.
You're listening to Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, Cave Creek, Phoenix, a division of Premier Radio Stations, the home of the Savage Nation. It's